afternoon, Francis. I've heard the term Neo-Advaita mentioned from a number of sources, and I don't understand what it is. Could you explain that?
Mm-hmm. I think I coined the term.
I heard Rupert use it also.
Yeah, but you know. I guess the term was successful. I mean, the main difference, I refer to Neo-Advaita when it's not traditional Advaita. It means it's a teacher who didn't basically have a teacher. Or it doesn't mean, so that's one thing. The other thing is about it that it is also a form of Advaita in which basically, but I think if you look online, you will find a lot of comments on this topic. So, and I'm not responsible for those. But in my mind, it was a way to make a distinction between Advaita that comes from a tradition and Advaita that comes from understanding by people who, it may be through a book, it may be without a book, who have come to the same understanding. I think another difference is that in the traditions, at least in the Advaita tradition I come from, the first glimpse of the truth is not the end of the path. The first glimpse of the truth is really the beginning of the path. Before that moment, you are on the path to the path. You are not on the path yet. But often, those who have come to that through their own means often stop there. And often they begin teaching. So, which begs the question, what is the end of the path in the traditional Advaita? If in the Neo-Advaita, the beginning of the path, the end of the path is a glimpse of the truth, in the best cases. What is the end of the path? And the end of the path in the traditional Advaita is to be established in peace and happiness. So, the other distinction that could be made is that sometimes Neo-Advaita is about enlightenment, a glimpse of the truth, a revelation of the truth, whereas Advaita is about happiness. You see? So that's another important distinction.
So what you would teach would be, could you call it Orthodox Advaita?
No, because orthodoxy has nothing to do with that. Orthodoxy is according to a norm. And here there are no norms. In other words, perhaps somebody would have come to my teacher's teachings and come to me, and then they would say, okay, well, these two guys are very different. These two teachings are very different. Because in an orthodoxy, that which gets transmitted, it's a tradition with a small t. The tradition with a small t are about the methods, the means. The methods of teaching are the means to achieve whatever has to be achieved in the Orthodoxy, like happiness after death in a future life. Here, that which gets transmitted is not a method. It cannot be put in a book. It is really causeless, the experience of causeless peace and of causeless happiness. So it's very simple to establish whether there is, you can call that orthodoxy. You are an orthodox in this tradition if you are at peace and happy without a cause. If you are not, you are what? Heterodox? Or
some teachers would say because there is no personal self, there is nobody to be enlightened. Everything is perfection as it is. Therefore, do whatever you want.
yeah, that sounds very much like Neo-Advaita. And I mean, it's fine if you are already happy and at peace. Do whatever you want. Yeah, sure. If your happiness is not dependent in particular of what you do or don't do, about what the universe is doing, then do whatever you want. Or do whatever you can. But if that is not the case, if you are not at peace and happy, it means that you believe to be a separate entity. In which case, there is nothing to do doctrine doesn't apply. Because you cannot speak from both sides of your mouth. Either it is clear to you, it is your experience that there is no personal entity, in which case it's true, there is nothing to do. But if it seems to be your experience that there is a personal and limited entity, there is something to do. I have news for you. There is something to do, which is to get rid of this belief. That's the best thing you can do. The best thing you can do is to get rid of this belief. Other things people do is going into addictions. But that's not the best thing you can do. The best thing you can do is but there is something to do from that vantage point. So the confusion in Neo-Advaita teachings comes from the assumption that the understanding is already there, that there is nothing to do, whereas in fact it's not there. Also, which leads to the following, the doctrine that comes out of that is, okay, there is nothing to do, and there is nothing you can do, and therefore, if you're unhappy, so be it. So then the goal is no longer happiness. The goal is you are unhappy, remain as you are, right? So the most interesting question to me is, why do people go listen to such a teaching? What's the expectation? If the guy is telling them already the goal is not happiness, the first thing I would say, okay, up yours. It's like You go to someone and to the market, to the farmer's market, and what are you selling? Okay, beautiful tomatoes, fine. And you, what are you selling? Shit. Oh, thank you very much. No. What is often missed is that it is all about happiness. That's it. It's not about enlightenment. I mean, who cares about enlightenment if you're miserable? And if you're happy, who cares about enlightenment?